First of all, I wanna let you know that a lot of people are misdiagnosed. And when I say misdiagnosed, when it comes to mental health, I'm not one of those to say like these are demons or these are energies, but we do have the ability definitely to heal ourselves of certain things, especially mentally, although I do know it's a challenge because I've experienced certain things, situational depression, postpartum before. As far as bipolar disorder, I've personally known a lot of people that were diagnosed with it. They took medicine for it, and they accepted it as a way of life and a way of being. But I've also seen a lot of people heal themselves from it by making lifestyle changes, being more orderly, reducing the people that they encounter, like, you know, your relationships and the people that you allow in your energy. So a lot of it, I feel like it could be more so spiritual boundaries and healing that you can do to, if not eradicate it, right? Because I'm not saying it's not a real thing, but to ease it. Like I always tell people I have ADHD, and at first I always felt like ADHD are people that are really neat and very orderly. And I was like, how the fuck you got ADHD and everything is always messy? But I noticed that is why I know I have, like, it bothers me. Like when things are too messy, when things are too out of order, I don't know where to start. But I thrive when I keep some type of structure and schedule, and I have drawers and dressers and places to put stuff, and my car is clean and everything has a space. So it's certain things that you can do, behaviors and patterns that you could create so that you can like create a sense of balance. And I feel like the more that I'm creating those structures and having, you know, my cleanup days, and then buying more furniture that I could put my stuff in and having more order, it makes it a little bit more easy to handle it and to, you know, keep it together versus just always being messy. Because once it gets messy, I'm paranoid. I don't know where to start. And, you know, it always gets messier before it gets clean. So if it's already messy and I have to clean it up, it's going to get 10 times messier, which is going to overload me and then overstimulate me. And now I'm just like, it takes me days to get out of that versus creating some type of, you know, structure so that I don't get to that point, or before I get to that point. I see what you said about your mom being diagnosed with bipolar depression, but do you know it's people that are diagnosed with ADHD like this, they're just so that they can get like legal or shit, some people do it for Social Security benefits. Like, it's not hard for these providers to look at a problem the same way when we have issues within our body. Instead of really healing the problem, just treat it. A lot of these doctors get incentives. Yeah, they get a lot of incentives for certain programs that they get people in. Some people get you know, government assistance, like they have government insurance, so they just racking up the charges and the appointments and stuff like that. So the medical system is definitely needed. It's people that cancer, all that stuff that is eradicated, healed. But depending on the intentions and stuff like that of the doctors and the person that's seeking out the help and the things that they feel or whatever. And then you have some doctors that if you complain enough, they'll just fucking write anything. So just be mindful. But with the Seven of Swords in reverse, I do feel like that's a lot from the pit of hell. Okay, the Seven of Swords in reverse talks about taking some type of accountability and being honest with yourself. The Ace of Swords is here. I feel like there could be a lot of clutter. With the Queen of Wands, it's in reverse. So this can be like low self-esteem in certain areas, but this can also be the feelings of being overwhelmed. Figure out when you have like those bipolar, you know, like when you feel like you're being bipolar. Like I've literally been thinking all week, love my mama. I love the people around me. I love people. But it's literally sometimes like I could call my mama right now and she don't answer. And then I get into doing something and she called me back and I'll be like, what the fuck you calling me for? Like, and then I'd be like, why are you like this? And I think in those moments, it is, I don't know. I'm still trying to understand why I'm like that. But, you know, or even I could talk to somebody. I'd be like, oh, girl, call me anytime, da 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 da. And then they call me and I'd be like, what the fuck? But I think those are moments when maybe I'm sitting with myself. Say, for instance, I'll call my mom and I get in my zone, right? I'm listening to a reading or I'm praying or whatever. And then she called me back and now I feel overwhelmed and obligated, you know, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm bipolar or that's my ADHD. It's just the timing of certain things, you know? but it's like figuring out what's clicking, like what actions, like kind of reflecting what makes me get in that mode. Where do I, you said at this point it's a fact. When do I get in that mode? What triggers me to be here? You know what I mean? I feel like it's more of that. With the Ace of Swords, there's a need of some type of clarity. There could even be some need to find some type of truth. But I feel like this is more in regards to you with the Queen of Wands in reverse. And like certain behaviors or outlooks that you have, than like actually like something that you can't fight against or heal. You know, I just don't want you to think that by the fear or concern of that means that you can't heal it or you got to go take medicine. I think that there are some ways that you can kind of ease it, but I don't feel like it is that. Okay, you got to think that's a man-made term with man-made structures to diagnose you with that. So man says what bipolar disorder is, and then, you know, I think they do look at your brain and stuff when it comes into that, but I just don't feel I was looking at this FDA. It was these people that were talking about the FDA and the legality behind it. I've always known for something to be considered organic, the bar is super, super low, right? So something could be organic but still have pesticides and stuff like that in it, or GMO, but it's under a certain percentage, and then they approve it and they'll still call it organic, but it doesn't mean that it's like organic how we think. So it's the same with the FDA. I was reading something the other day. Let me see. Is this literal? And then when you look into that, you're going to understand when it comes to diagnosing you with certain things. It's people that have been misdiagnosed. My mom, they diagnosed her with lupus for like years ago, and she takes the medicines. Her symptoms don't even really, like, she does get like random bruises and stuff. Her hair thins out, but like her symptoms don't necessarily align with that, and the medicine doesn't help her in the way that she needs it to either sometimes. Okay, the FDA, there's a percentage of insect parts that this is what I didn't know. I never thought about it. I never processed it. But most of our packaged goods and stuff like that, it's freight. You know what I mean? So it's rodents and animals and, well, rodents and insects and stuff like that. And it's a qualification for insect part. Ground cinnamon, for example, can contain up to an average of 400 insect fragments per 50 grams. Rodent poop. Consider fennel seeds, ginger, and mace. A spice that is similar to nutmeg can contain up to an average of 3 milligrams of mammal poop per pound. Mold allows up to an average of 5% of bay leaves in a sample by weight to be moldy. Insect heads, mites, maggots, rodent hair, pits, foreign matter. So all of these things being in our exports or our imports, but being that they're below a certain like part of the spectrum, they're allowed. So you just have to consider everything else. Like what spectrum are you looking at to diagnose me with this? You know what I mean? And how detailed of a evaluation are you doing on me to make sure that these things are, you know, valid? And there are doctors and holistic practitioners and stuff like that that do go above and beyond, but a lot of them, they just see you as a number. Right? A lot of them are overloaded. Hell, go to the OBGYN. A lot of them are overloaded. So a lot of them don't have the diligence or the focus on each individual person to give accurate, adequate, intense evaluations. You know what I mean? A lot of downloads here. Oh, I got a lot of them. I remember thinking that I was a narcissist, and I was looking it up, and then I was like, okay, what about a dark empath? And then I was like looking up everything, and Spirit was like, girl, there ain't nothing wrong with you. Your mind is being manipulated by the people around you. This man don't want you to trust yourself and believe in yourself. If you're the narcissist, you're not asking yourself if you're the narcissist, ma'am. Like, the narcissist is never asking if they're the narcissist. I think that's the first thing that come up when you look up, am I a narcissist? If you the one asking if you're a narcissist, you're not the narcissist. You might have some narcissistic ways and tendencies, okay? Which everybody does. spirit guides, angels. I actually feel like ADHD, I feel like a lot of these things are spiritual. And I feel like a lot of them signify to spiritual sensitivity as well. Like children that have autism, I feel like they're very spiritually gifted, and I just feel like it's misunderstood because it is different and they bear fruit differently. Yeah, but that's the download that I just got as well. So some of these things could be your spiritual gifts, like some type of sensitivity. Like I know a lot of times I used to think that I'm so anxious. I have anxiety. But I don't like to go into like parties or clubs or spaces with like a lot of different people because I do get overly stimulated. It's too much energy. I can't read everybody's energy. It's all at once. I'm trying to like, you know what I mean? So it could stem for you do too, especially schizophrenia. Yeah, it could stem from spiritual sensitivities. Okay, so I feel like ADHD, you know, a lot of people don't think about this stuff, but cleanliness is what next to godliness. Even when you talk about like to spiritual people, they're usually very clean. The Bible and other religions and beliefs, they literally resonate a lot. You know, the Bible tells you to cover your head when you pray and prophesy, and then you have people when they do readings and stuff like that, they cover their head. They, you know, they have something over their head a lot of times when they're deeply spiritual. They wear white. That's about purity and cleansing. You know what I mean? But I'm saying all of that to say, but again, yes, it's the Eight of Swords. It's this feeling or illusion of being trapped, okay? With the King of Swords, I feel like you really got to get in your mind and figure out what triggers you to feel. Like, what are the things that make you feel like you have ADHD? What are the things that make you feel like, and there's nothing wrong with drinking, but, you know, even in the Bible, it's something wrong with that addictive personality. Being dependent on anything outside of your natural energy is addictive. But you needing to identify, okay, what are the reasons why I feel like I'm this? Maybe I get shadowy of the mind, right? Or maybe I, you know, get stressed or anxious. And then you look at what causes, like what triggers these events. When do I usually feel like this? Is it when I'm in traffic? Traffic is usually multiple different energies, and not only are you driving, but you're driving for other people. So at any time, what somebody else does with their energy can affect you, and so you're, you know, anxiety. Is it when I can't get in contact with somebody that I need for an emergency? Like trying to figure out when these anxious moments come, and then not necessarily finding a logical perception because everything isn't logical, but trying to identify like the common denominators so that there could be a sense of healing. With the Ten of Cups in the world, I do feel like if this is like messing with you in certain ways, like your stability, your confidence, your productivity, I feel like there's a way to have that happy outcome and to form some type of discipline or plan or resolve or solution to get out of whatever head fog is making you feel like you're here. But I feel like we just talked about this card the other day. It's the Eight of Swords. And you see this person is surrounded by swords, but there's space in between the swords to get out. The person, their blindfold isn't even tied. Their hands are tied, but they can still stand up. You know what I mean? So it's the illusion of being trapped. It's not necessarily being trapped. Right? So this could be the illusion of having something going on, but I feel like it's just a lack of understanding of what's going on. And since the solution, the common solution is this, then that's kind of where you're going. But I feel like you kind of gotta do that shadow work. And of course, always seek out some type of medical advice and stuff like that, but just not taking it to the head and allowing it to rule your life, because the person that has the last say so is God. You know what I mean? Yes, you have insomnia already. How you didn't go to sleep last night. Yeah, but sometimes that's what we feed ourselves to. You know what I mean? Because I'm learning. When my eating habits are poor, so are my sleep habits. I'm trying to do better now. But yeah, don't say you got it. Don't claim it. Don't claim it. But your dad is just like that too. Yeah, and then what you got to think about, mind you, in the physical world, when we're talking about technicalities and educational stuff, of course, they don't see things from a spiritual perspective. But from a spiritual perspective, what we know is generational curses. And so a lot of times things are hereditary because the people before you did not heal something or encounter some type of lesson or understanding to heal something, and now the resolve is you, or if they have experienced it, then they would have a resolve, and then they would pass it down to you, and then you would have more solution to overcome or eradicate that curse. So in the physical world, it could be called hereditary, right? My mom has it, my dad has it. But in the spiritual world, it could be seen as a generational curse. You know what I mean? Mental conflict, hardships, imbalance of your spiritual gifts, lack of understanding of your spiritual gifts, right? Because not being able to sleep, sometimes that is spiritual messages. And maybe your dad had an issue with that because he wasn't awakened in some type of way. And now you're being challenged and convicted about it because you feel like something is off because you are the one that's needed to be awakened or to break that curse. So hereditary is generational curse. I mean, we could say that. Hold on, y'all. Hereditary is generational curse. I mean, we could say that. Hold on, y'all.